I've said that we needed to look at Qin's conquest and the creation of the first great centralized bureaucratic empire in Chinese history along two lines: mobilization, which we've just seen, and ideology. What makes Qin ideology interesting is that it really is, one's tempted to say it's based on science, but it might be better to say it's based on a theory of the cosmos and how the cosmos works. We'll be introducing various parts of that to you. But let me begin to introduce this ideology. Let me tell you about how the emperor constructed himself as a figure in the cosmos. He took a new title, Huangdi. Di, remember, was the name that had been used in the Shang for the high god. Huang probably means august, Lord on high sort of thing. But Huangdi, which then becomes the standard term for emperor in Chinese history. Huangdi might be translated as August Thearch, although later on we'll just say emperor. Thearch because of the religious overtones of that term. He sees his capital as a microcosm of his empire. The capital is the pole star. Across the river, which he calls the Deshui, the Milky Way, are the capitals or the residences rebuilt, the palaces of the nobles of the various states he's conquered. He's had their palaces rebuilt, replicas built. It turns out that when the emperor starts to standardize weights and measures and widths and heights, that he uses multiples of 6. So all hats are to be 6 inches tall. The axle width is to be 6 feet. Very important, actually, to have a standard axle width, because on dirt roads, carts create ruts. If the ruts aren't the same, then you can't pass through the roads and so on. Axle widths are set in multiples of 6. The official color of the Qin dynasty is black. Right? Now, black as the royal color, the official color, multiples of 6. Well, it turns out that we have some charts giving correlations between things from this period. And if I look down here and I say, what's the number 6? That's the water element. The color is black. The season is winter. The planet that's associated with it is Mercury, and so on. Well, you can see this on the screen here as well. What this is a chart of cosmic phases. It's called the Wuxing, the 5 phases of change, the 5 elements, the 5 agents. And the basis for this is that everything that happens in the world, right, happens according to a certain pattern. You recall that when we were talking about the many masters of the warring states, that Zhou Yan had this idea that nature itself had patterns that could be discerned, and if we understood the patterns of nature, the cycles of nature, human society could be organized to fit that cycle. In a very simple sense, of course, we must do this for the agricultural cycle. You can't very well plant your crops in the middle of winter. Now, this chart of the 5 phases, and you can play around with it some more, but what this has done is transformed heaven, in the sense of the natural world, or heaven and earth, from something that is run by gods to something that's run along what might be called constant and predictable principles of change. And that's what the 5 phases of change represent. Wood, fire, earth, metal, water. There's a season for everything. There's a color for every time. There's a planet that goes with every season. There's a smell even. If wood smell, which is of the spring, is musty. The fire phase has a smell that's burnt and a flavor that's bitter. The earth phase, which is midsummer, is fragrant. The smell is fragrant. The flavor is sweet, and so on. Sets of parallel phenomena organized according to the 5 phases.